Okay, it is 10 o'clock, and, 1 minute to 10. So let's, if we could, just grab a seat. There are a few more people coming in, and we'll be starting with the prelude in just a minute. Have to click that button to green.
Okay.
I just put it around my neck and this comes to my face.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's not
Okay.
hard at all. Okay. Should I sit up here with you? Or?
You can. Except we're not getting sound. Bear with us. We're getting there.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Myers, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to our service. Our Unitarian Universalism encourages an open-ended search for the meaning of life, in life, and commitment to asking our values to shape our actions. We are a pluralistic religion that draws wisdom from many sources. We welcome all people to our beloved community of whatever age, race, class, ethnicity, physical ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or religious background. We especially welcome those of you that may be worshiping with us for the first time today. We invite you to join us after service downstairs for coffee and snacks, so that we can get to know each other better. Guests are welcome to participate in any activities in our community. Let us take a moment to greet someone near you who you do not know or haven't seen in a while, so that we may all know that we are welcomed here.
Sorry. Good job. Yeah. It's the first time you're on. How many times, right? No. All right, good morning, everybody. I am Reverend Jay Wolin. It is great to be back with everybody in person. Yeah, bring it on. I miss that energy. You don't hear that online. I'll just say that. But, we had to do that to keep ourselves safe. We will. This is our first week of multi-platform. We are committed to being inclusive. There are people who can't be here or are not comfortable yet, so we are. So this week we still have recorded music. I believe within the next week or so we will have live music here. We're now streaming over YouTube, so that will make the music easier to hear online. And I see we have 12 people online as well. So thank you for being here. I'm here to issue the spotlight here today. The stewardship team asked me to do one. I do participate with them. And I'm not sure we're having coffee today, by the way. I know somebody brought cookies, and you are welcome to share in the bounty of those. If you want to get involved in hospitality to make sure we have coffee every week, you can check with Brian Tufty. He's here somewhere. But I'm here today to talk about stewardship. One of our leaders is moving out of town, so we're looking for volunteers. It's responsible for various different programs. I know you're thinking it's only the annual pledge drive, right? But no, it is so much more than that. I want you to know that. It also involves long-term giving, right? So talking to people about putting the congregation in their will. And I know you're thinking, can it be more fun than that? Yes, it can. Because we have fundraisers, right? And we're going to need help. The music team is talking about doing Coffee House in September. They are going to need help with that. We have the silent auction as well, and at some point the secondhand sale, or maybe other ideas that you have as well. So let's put the fun back in fundraising. And let's have some fun. As the saying goes, many hands make light work. You don't have to do everything, you just maybe one thing, okay. And as well, I do want to point out stewardship is also about caring for and being stewards of the congregation. And so this year, stewardship hopes to gather other leaders and have one-on-one conversation with all congregants, to help us reconnect, right? To see how you want to participate in living out our mission and vision. And, I'll be honest, everything seems a little different now. It just does. And we want to know how you're doing and how best we can renew our relationships with each other and with the congregation. So if you're interested in participating in that, it's like, I'm not used to it. I'm just used to looking at my computer. It's always an adjustment. So if you'd like to join, you can contact me, the office, Erica Pickerel, or Colleen Sibthorpe. So thank you. And now our opening reading today is an excerpt from To the Lighthouse from Virginia Woolf. What is the meaning of life? That was all a simple question, one that tended to close in on one with years. The great revelation had never come. The great revelation perhaps never did come. Instead, there was daily miracles, illuminations, matches that struck unexpectedly in the dark. And so I strike this match now here to light our chalice, and let it be a symbol of that daily miracle, right, that we can be to each other. Let us illuminate each other's lives. And please join me in the chalice lighting words, which are on the screen. Woo. Woo. Fire. Let's try. I think we need some new matches. 0 for 2. Well, if I was Jacob deGrom pitching for the Mets, that means this is going to go out as well. But let's see, for you baseball fans there. There we go. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to inspire. Come on. Okay, how do you use these candles in I now invite you to rise in body and or spirit for our opening hymn, For All That Is Our Life, number 128. For our opening hymn, number 128.
Hi,
Oh, land record.
I'm Diane Hammerand, a member of this congregation.
We'll get my fault.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift that we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrows we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
And so, as always, we ask for forgiveness and grace as things on our first day here, or any day, do not go as planned.
Hello. Oh, good morning. So if all my UU friends, the kiddos want to come up here for Words for All Ages, you are welcome to. Everyone is very focused on their work back there, which is totally fine. Hi, Zoe. Hi, friends. But you can stay where you are if you want. Good morning. Okay. So I have this book to read today. We can stand. Zeev is going to sit, though. Yeah, you can sit or stand, whatever you want. But this book, while I was reading it, I thought, I feel like this book has some movement that can go with it. So Ms. Tracy and Ms. Isabel are going to help me up here. And friends, while I'm reading this book, you can do some movements too. And to get warmed up, we can do a little movement meditation that we usually do in class and we have not done together for over a year. So if you want to stand up, you can. And this is Words for All Ages, so you all can too. So we reach for the sky, reach up, to remember that we are a part of a mystery much bigger than ourselves. We touch the ground to remember that wherever we bring our best selves is sacred ground. We look to our friends to remember that we are a part of a community that cares for each other. All right, so I am going to read this book. And like we just did, reaching for the sky and touching the ground, I think there are movements in this book, but you can make them up for yourself. So this is called All of the Earth, All of the Sky. Ooh, Ezra's got it. There, in the space of a sky, is a field for the sun. A sea for the moon, clouds where storms can hide. What does a storm move like? Stars where silence sings. There in the space of the sky are paths of birds, rivers of air, gardens of light. Growing into day, growing into night. You all have grown so much. There in the space of the earth are hills bending, waters gathering, seeds opening. What's it like to be a seed opening? Thank you, Ezra. He is. Here, a snail curls into its shell. You curl into your shell. Sometimes that feels good. A bird moves into its nest. I go into my house. And there, in the space of my house, I walk, I run, I dance, I stand still. I wait for another room to open. Thank you for all those movements, friends. And just remember, just by being in this space between the earth and the sky, you are making this world better. And we are all worthy to be here with one another. And I'm so happy to see your faces. Oh, thank you. That is a great seed opening. Thank you for being here, friends. And you can go and you can sit back with your family. And thank you, Isabel and Tracy. And everyone, normally at this time, the kids will get sung down to Ari. And if you are wanting to help these kids with their religious exploration, please email me or come and talk to me. And we can find the best place for you to volunteer. Thank you.
Ooh, your mask. Okay. Ooh. Everybody shake it out a little bit there? Yeah. So when I was younger, somebody would ask me the meaning of life. And it's funny how that often came up throughout my life. Even before I became a minister, I was just that kind of fun party guy. What can I say? Anyway, I would always answer, the meaning of life is 42. Right, so those, even here, similar to whatever sort of little party I was at where I said that, those who had read the Douglas Adams Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy would smile or laugh knowing the inside joke, while others who had not read the book would be confused and just sort of like walk away from me. So in the book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, an alien race created a supercomputer named Deep Thought to answer the ultimate question of the universe and everything. And after 7.5 million years, Deep Thought determined the answer was 42. And of course, this is incomprehensible and thus the joke, or maybe it's not incomprehensible. You have to wait till the end of the service to find out. But it's a longer story. But my point, actually, though, about that story is that the quality of the questions that we ask, right, need to have some context if we are to receive a quality answer. So what is the meaning of life? This past year, I've done a sermon series on the meaning of life from different religious and philosophical perspectives. And after studying it, one can see similarities and differences among each of them, often originating from the context of their own situations or places in the world. But there are similar themes that often have different conclusions, okay? So, and as I pointed out in each previous sermon, I do want to be very clear about this. Every religion and philosophy that I've talked about, pretty much every religion and philosophy, is actually quite diverse within themselves. And so I am just speaking in generalities here. One common thing that I think, talking about the meaning of life, that we can all relate to is the recognition of the limited span of our lives that leads us to look for meaning. Now, some traditions try to understand, because of that, they try to understand what is stable, what is permanent, what can I hold on to, right, to find meaning. So, Plato looked for the perfect form of things. Hinduism looks to disciplines and duties in order to find meaning. Confucianism looks to cultivate the individual into societal norms. Again, understanding the context, right? And Confucianism, in the time when it arose, the country was constantly at war, and creating this was a way to bring order to the chaos that they lived in. Other traditions, such as Buddhism and Taoism, focus on the impermanence of life, right? Stressing that our suffering comes from these attachment to permanent things, right? And whether that's our life or a relationship or a job, right? Those religions say, right, that you shouldn't become attached to them. And that we can free ourselves from suffering by not becoming attached to outcomes, but rather living in the present moment. So another theme that differentiates the understanding of meaning is the question of transcendence and immanence. Does one find meaning in devotion to a divine transcendent being? Or does one find meaning in the day-to-day, the mundane of everyday life? And even if the latter, I would say I think it's important for us to see our lives connected to something beyond just ourselves, whether it's family, a passion of ours, a cause, or a community. How we see ourselves, right, is a key point in finding meaning. Some traditions, think about the Greeks, right? What's that famous aphorism? Know thyself, right? Hindus see the self as part of a greater cosmic awareness, whereas Buddhists see the self as illusory. Right? So Buddhists, much as Unitarian Universalist principles do, see ourselves as interdependent with all that is. So what we do impacts everything and everyone else, and in turn we are impacted by everything that each other does as well. When someone else is suffering, that impacts us as well. So another important aspect of a meaningful life is freedom. Yet again, how religions interpret freedom is different. Some religions see freedom as freedom from our senses, right? From our passions, right? And that we need to be more ascetic in our lives. Some traditions, I would say including Unitarian Universalism, speak to freedom of thought and freedom to improve ourselves. Taoism sees freedom as being free from conforming to society. And so you can see how that was a sort of a push against Confucianism, and they were often at times in conflict. But I would add other freedoms that we often don't think about. How about freedom from hunger or freedom from poverty? Right? We often think of individual freedom, but I am reminded of Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl's comment, where he says, freedom is in danger of denigrating into mere arbitrariness unless it is lived in terms of responsibleness. End quote. We are not alone. Being part of a community, a society, involves working to make that society work for everyone. And so we see there's not one answer, one magic answer in all places for all time. Each religion and philosophy stakes their claim to their own perspective. And so it is left to us to answer the questions for ourselves, individually, as a community, and as a country, a world. So I want to end this part of the reflection with one last quote from Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl. And again, I will point out it is not surprising that myself, someone from or with a Jewish heritage and a Jewish upbringing, finds resonance with his writing. So talking about our context, how it often informs us. Frankl writes, in the final analysis, the meaning of life, it is life that asks the questions. The question can no longer be, what can I expect from life? But can now only be, what does life expect of me? What task in life is waiting for me? And so in the second reflection, I'll talk about my personal understanding of the meaning of life, but the task that is waiting for you now, what is expected of you now, is the offering. And this month, we are sharing 50% of our offering. I missed that. This month, we are sharing 50% of our offering with Clock Inc. You can read about them a little bit in the order of service there. Please be as generous as you can. This is going to be a little different. Joys and Sorrows, we really didn't think this one out. There is a book out there if you'd like to write a joy or sorrow, or on the notepad if you want to write a joy or sorrow, bring it up. If you are online, if you want to put it in the comments, except realize those are public comments, not Zoom. So, and we'll keep evolving how that will work in the future. So we invite you now to enter this sacred time. So I'm going to have to get back into the practice of reminding people to come and light candles. That is one of our traditions here as well. And so, yes, I think if you're online and you don't want to put something live on YouTube, which I would definitely understand, you can email me anytime during the week if you want. That's minister@uucqc.org. And again, for those who might be newer here, we have a book that's right outside the sanctuary where you can write your joys and sorrows, which will be shared with the congregation. We did have one online. I think that now we have. John Whitson is excited to have multi-platform service this week, and Christy is expressing sorrow is all the confusion of getting to watch without all the confusions of the links in the websites. And yes, this was a little different this week. We found in preparing for future live music and just music in general, it just is much clearer through YouTube Live than through Zoom. So we do ask for your patience, and we will continue to try and perfect the way we do this. A couple of joys here. Tracy Tufty. Thank you to everyone who could make it yesterday for the grounds cleanup. We will hope for cooler weather the next time we schedule one. So yes, thank you. I saw them out there. Diana Schneider also, her birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday. Woo-hoo! And she just wants to express what a great present it is to see everyone. Yes, it is. Even if it's not your birthday, it's a great present. So let us all take a moment of silence now, just to recognize that we each have joys and sorrows, some spoken, some indicated by lighting a candle, some in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. So let us just breathe in and out and be mindful of all the joys and sorrows that we have, as do others. Spirit of life and love, let us be grateful. Grateful that we can be together here in person as well as online. Grateful for the technology that allows us to still participate in whatever ways that they can. Let us recognize there are many who are not with us anymore, and there is sorrow in their not being here. And so let us always remember those who've come before and those who are still here and those who are yet to come. All this we ask in your name. Amen.
To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat to be brave. It is the thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see. A world that's full of endless possibilities, and heroes don't look like they used to. They look like you do. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are one. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Yeah, please. That was beautiful. Thank you. So when I think about the question of the meaning of life for myself, I realize it's, of course, changed over the years, right? In truth, I didn't really consciously think about the question until I was well into my 30s. Right? At least not consciously, I would say. Right? And that you know, I was always a searcher. I always searched for things, trying to figure out myself and the world that I lived in. And that in and of itself could be considered meaning, although it wasn't something I thought about. It's just who I was. Right? And just thinking about that, right? It was just who I was. There is meaning, right, in that as well, right? Just being your authentic self is meaningful in its own right. Now, some people just accept things as they are, right? Well, I am not one of those people. I'm not. So perhaps that is one of the meanings of life for me, right? To consciously think about who I am and what my place in the world is. And that changes over time based on the context of our lives. But even more importantly, as I said, to be who you are. So often the world forces us, or we believe the world forces us into a box, so to speak, of who we are and what we should do or how we should act. We are all products of our environment and generations of genetics, but we are also capable of growing. We are capable of changing. I think if we look back on our lives, we can see how we've changed. Whether intentionally or not, we can see how we've changed. So we know change is possible. And we should be open to that. And so for me, the meaning of life also is to live a life of purpose. And I spent a long time in my life wondering what my purpose in life was. And the truth is, we never really know. So we have to consciously make our choices and decide how we will choose to live our lives. And then trust. Right? We have to trust the universe that it's right until it is no longer right for us. I do not think purpose is a one-time thing. Right? I used to think, well, what if my purpose was just to help that one person 20 years ago, right? But, it's not. It's not a one-time thing. Purpose is a way of being in the world. What values you adhere to and how you choose to live them out in the world. For me, that includes being curious, discovering new things, being intentional about being open to learning new things. I don't have to accept everything, every new thing that I learn, right? I don't. But I have found more often than not, when I widen the lens, right, of my understanding, of my view of the world, I am always enriched by it. And it's hard sometimes. I'm not going to say no, right? Growth spurts. Think about kids, right, when they're growing physically, right? There's pain sometimes in that. And the same can be said for us as human beings when we grow, right? It can be painful sometimes, but in the end, we expand our consciousness and our horizons. Secondly, for me, meaning is found in being creative. And that was true whether I was figuring out ways to interpret the IRS tax code or a sacred text or writing a sermon. Right? I think that leads to another important factor of meaning, right? Is that what we are doing leaving the world a better place. Creativity is neutral in and of itself, right? It can be used in many ways. It can be used to cause harm, to challenge us, or to do good, or to bring beauty, right? But we must answer the question, does our meaning making make the world a better place? And lastly, I would say, I find meaning in having a sense of accomplishment, and making a lasting positive contribution in the world. And that can be big or small, right? I'm reminded of the speech by Martin Luther King when he said, and I quote, "If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Shakespeare writes poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well." Whatever you are doing, considering it as something that has cosmic significance, as it is part of the uplifting of humanity. No matter what it is, no matter how small you think it is, do it right. End quote. So some days, right, it may be enough to just cook a meal or do the laundry. Some days, as some of you did, make it to the congregation to pick up, sticks and whatever other things they were cleaning on the grounds. Some days we just have to take time also to care for ourselves. Like many things, I don't fall neatly into a box of any one religious or philosophical tradition, right? Which is why I'm so comfortable in Unitarian Universalism. Unitarian Universalism gives us the freedom to explore, yet still be tethered to a community that provides boundaries if we go stray too far or step out of line. And I tend to focus more on a this world theology than a transcendent theology, not because I think it's not possible, but because that is the world I live in, and this is the world we can impact. And I trust that if there is a larger power that is beyond my comprehension, which is a lot that is beyond my comprehension, but I believe that I am part of the process, whatever it is. I am part of this sacred process of living. But this world, this is what I can comprehend, this world. And yet, I also live with a concept of impermanence. Everything changes. And although I work hard not to have attachments to outcomes, I still work for certain outcomes. It is in the struggle that I find meaning. And sometimes understanding can come with time, and sometimes it comes immediately, and sometimes it never comes. But be open to recognizing that understanding when it appears. Don't have a hardened heart and mind. Open up when there is an opportunity. And so, along those lines, when I was researching for this service, and I have to say this is one of the reasons I love the internet, because whether it's true or not, there's some really interesting things on there. And anyway, I found out that early computer programming language, ASCII, the code for the asterisk symbol is 42. Yes. An asterisk symbol in computer programming is considered a wild card. It offers the program a flexibility, right, and can be used in multiple different ways. And so remembering the Douglas Adams story I told you at the beginning, so that would mean the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, of anything is 42 or a wild card. Meaning we can make our lives whatever we want to. We can choose how to live and with whom we live and how we determine meaning. We as a community determine how we determine meaning. Every day we go out and we make a choice. And we can choose, like the song said, we can choose to be a bit kinder. We can choose to be a bit more generous. We can choose to seek justice. We can choose to build a beloved community. Or we can choose not to do any of those things, right? The choice is up to you, to each one of us, right? Every moment of every day, that choice is ours. We can start anew every day with new choices, but you have to choose. And to not choose is to make a choice. Our choices lead to action or inaction, and our choices have consequences. Not just for ourselves, but for our community, for the world. I think of the eco challenge that we're doing now. Those have positive consequences for the world. We're going to start doing studies on the eighth principle, and you can choose to participate or not, but each will have a consequence on this congregation and the world. So I encourage you to choose to save each other. I encourage you to choose to save yourself and to recognize that it is one and the same thing. Choose to live your life fully and authentically and with each other in this beautiful, challenging, messy, learning and loving community we call Unitarian Universalism. May it be so. I now invite you to rise in body and or spirit for our closing hymn number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though in pain I made my way, still with hope I live each day. When they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. When they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. When they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
have to say, I forgot how much I loved him singing. Our closing words are from Rainer Maria Rilke, from Letters to a Young Poet. I should like to beg you earnestly to have patience with all the unsolved problems in your heart, and to try and love the questions themselves, like locked rooms or books written in a foreign language. Do not search now for the answers which cannot be given you, because you could not live them. That is the point, to live everything. Now you must live your problems, and perhaps gradually, without noticing it, you will live your way into the answer some distant day. Perhaps you actually have in you the possibility of molding and shaping as a particularly blessed and pure form of life. Train yourself in it, but take what comes in complete trust. And as long as it comes from your own will, from some need or other of your inner self, then take it for itself and hate nothing. Please join me now in extinguishing our chalice. The words will be on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now enjoy our postlude, and afterwards, if you want to join us downstairs, I understand there are some cookies.